So I've been paying close attention to how people on both the left and the right are reacting to the election results. Those on the right are all flexing at the moment. They're in victory mode. They're flexing. They're waiting to see if we'll cry some liberal tears. And like I've said, there's going to be zero tears for me because I'm not here to cry. I'm here to roll up my sleeves and continue to work even harder to stand on the side of the truth, to stand on the side of American democracy, and to stand on the side of women and my daughter's future. People on the left are trying to figure out what went wrong, and they're trying to point the finger and pass the blame. And, you know, I think it's just as simple as this. It's an old saying we heard years ago for those of us that have followed politics our entire life. It's this simple. It's the economy, stupid. That's what it ended up being. People looked at their grocery bill, and they looked past Donald Trump and who he is as a person. They looked past all the things that Donald Trump did. They did not care that he was found liable of sexual abuse and defamed the victim. Didn't matter. They were looking at the grocery bill. They didn't care that he became a convicted felon. They thought that all was a hoax anyway. They were looking at the grocery bill. They didn't care the way that he talked about other people or threatened to deport people or threatened to turn the American military on people like us. They cared about none of that. They didn't care about their daughter's future because they were too busy looking at the grocery bill, and they thought that if they got him back, it would return to the way it was when he was around the first time. They're in for a really rude awakening on that. Eventually, like I've said so many times, and we'll continue to point out, they're one day going to end up in the same boat with us, and they won't figure out how they got there, but we will be here to remind them of how it is that we got there. But on the left, I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, trying to pass the blame and point fingers. I don't think now's the time to do that because, again, I think it just boiled down to being as simple as it's the economy. But a lot of people on the right are saying things like, well, you guys on the left, you know, you called us racist every chance you got. Every time you disagree with us, you called us racist. And you called him a dictator, and you compared us to Nazis. And if you guys just hadn't have done that, you know, that's what pushed everybody away. I will never apologize for calling out someone who threatened to be a dictator on day one. I will never apologize for pointing out that someone said they would like to terminate the Constitution. I will never apologize for pointing out that someone said that we were the enemy from within and they would like to turn the American military on us if need be. I'm never going to apologize for saying that someone is over here praising dictators and saying that he wants to rule his people like Kim Jong-un, okay? I'm not going to apologize for those things. We pointed that out every day because we saw what was coming at us, and we realized the serious nature of it, and because we've read our history books and we didn't want 1930s Germany to return. When we compared Trump supporters to the Nazi rally that happened in Madison Square Garden, was I saying that everybody out there that voted for Donald Trump, was I saying they were a Nazi? No, I was not saying that. I have never said that everyone that voted for Trump was that. But they saw an event that mirrored that in Madison Square Garden. They heard the racist jokes. They heard the misogyny. They heard everything that was said, and it wasn't a deal breaker. I'm never going to apologize for pointing out racism. I don't cry that someone's a racist because I disagree with them. I point it out because what they just said was racist. I pointed out because what they just did was racist. And I've had it pointed out to me in the past. And when it's been pointed out to me in the past that I've said something racist or with the racist undertone, I mean, yeah, at first it stung and I didn't like hearing it, but I appreciated and respected the fact that they told me and educated me on it, and I made a note to not do it again. I've told this story several times, but me and Coach D are good friends. There's been times that I've went to make a video, I was going to say something, and I wondered how it would sound. I wondered if it did have any racial undertones. I wondered if it was the appropriate way to say it. I've literally called Coach D, hey, Coach, is this okay to say it? You know, because I want to learn. I want to educate myself. I want to leave that crap in the dustbin of history. I'm never going to apologize for pointing out the deaths of the young mothers that have lost their lives because of the decisions that Donald Trump made. And now he is going to be back with complete unchecked power, being able to possibly appoint 2 new justices. Folks, it's going to be it's going to be some dark times that we're headed into. But I'm not going to apologize and sit back and go, oh, well, if I just hadn't have said anything, if I had have just not said that he was sounding like a dictator, if I just hadn't have said that their rally definitely looked like 1939, if I hadn't have said those things, or if I hadn't have pointed out that racist joke, I'm not going to apologize for pointing those things out. I'm not going to apologize for standing up for the truth and standing against someone who was so humanly flawed and so indecent. We're all flawed. We've all made mistakes. But I grew up in a church that used to every single sermon ended with the minister telling me that I needed to come up, get on my knees, and beg God to forgive me for everything that I did. And if I didn't, I'd die and go to hell before I got home. Okay? And those same ministers that used to do that to me and used to scream until the sweat would fly off their head while they were doing it and point and fire breathe in my face, those same people turned around and voted for a man found liable of sexual abuse, who defamed the victim, who broke every rule in their book. And they told me that that guy had better character than anyone on the Democratic side of the aisle. And I'm not going to sit here and apologize for having called these things out, and I'm not going to stop doing it anytime soon. You know, when someone acts like a dictator, I'm going to point it out. When someone says they want to terminate the Constitution, I'm going to point it out. When someone becomes a convicted felon, I'm going to point those things out. That was not, for those, it's like, well, if you had just not said anything, if you had just not addressed that. So we were supposed to sit back and not say anything and just let everything unfold. We weren't supposed to try to warn people. We sat here time and time again on the channel. We brought the receipts, we brought the evidence, we put it in front of people's faces, we explained the severity of the situation. I've saw so many channels in the pro-democracy movement that sat and broke down Project 2025 and said, do you not understand this is what's going to happen to you if this takes place? They're saying this. They continue to let it roll off their shoulder. They continue to say that we were crazy. They continue to say that, you know, no, it's not like that. It's not going to be that. Because all Trump had to do was come out and tell them that what we were saying was a lie, and they would never listen to us. But I'm not going to apologize for covering Project 2025 and pointing out what it's going to do. All I'm going to do now is sit back and wait till it affects them, and they start crying in my comment section or messaging me personally and going, what the hell just happened to me? And I'm going to be like, well, remember back when you said that I was wrong for calling it out? You know, they're flexing right now at us. I'm not actually going to enjoy flexing at them later when this all comes back to smack them straight in the face. But I am going to examine the way that I've went about making my content. If you'll notice, the last couple of videos, I haven't rolled any clips. I don't plan on it for a while. I may roll clips of things that that other people say that I find interesting or things that we need to hear. But no, I don't think showing a clip of Donald Trump going down on a microphone is going to change anyone's mind. I don't think that that's going to matter. I'm not saying that it's a mistake for doing it, because I think those things needed to be pointed out, and I thought that America was a more decent country. I thought that human decency was better. I was naive. Again, how many times on this channel have you heard me say it? I was naive for that. I really thought that we were better as human beings. But the majority ruled for Donald Trump, and a whole lot of people stayed home on Election Day. And they tuned out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and demonize people, because if you're going to try to bring voters back, you can't sit and say they were the problem. You know, you have to start somewhere. What I would say is we have to stay on point. We have to stand for the truth. We have to stand for democracy. We have to point out the obvious, no matter how painful it may be for some people to accept. And we keep moving forward. And we remind people of the things we warned them about. And I have a feeling that that's what it's going to be. I didn't ever want us to be in a position where I was saying, I told you so. I never wanted to look at a friend of mine when his daughter was bleeding out and go, you know what? I told you so. I don't want to be that guy. I never wanted to be that guy. That's why that I gave up an entire lifetime of playing music to sit down in this chair and talk about these things. And talk about the broader point and the bigger issue, because in Maga land, they just see everything as black and white. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area for them. It's just, my grocery bill's high. It was lower under Trump. Let me explain to you how things work. Let's talk about the system and how it works. They don't want to hear that. They enjoyed the cliches. They enjoyed the rhetoric. And no matter how many times we pointed things out to them that he was doing that was completely indecent or what kind of person he was, it didn't matter. I thought that especially to Republicans, I thought that if I pointed out that someone was going to terminate the Constitution, I thought they would go, oh, whoa, wait, yeah, dude, that's not us. Because they used to be the ones that warned me about dictators, and now they're the ones that are perfectly okay with him being one. It's a crazy world that we're living in, but we can never apologize for bringing the truth. And so to anyone saying, well, if you just sort of sit back and stay quiet, no, that's never been the answer. We have got to continue to call it out for what it is and point it out and talk about the broader issue. And maybe that's what we do moving forward. We spend more time explaining the broader the broader context, because a whole lot of them can't see it. What's going to be sad is they're going to begin to see it as it begins to affect them. The saddest part about all of this is, we're the party of we, they're the party of me, and they only care about issues once it actually comes back to haunt them. I'm not going to enjoy seeing it happen to them, and I'm not going to flex in their face, because I never wanted it to get to this point, honestly. But I truly appreciate all of y'all for coming along on this ride with me. I know politics are heavy right now, so I will say, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We lost some, but we gained back to even more. I understand that some people needs to take a break, do whatever you have to do to get through this, spend time with your family, put your phone down, walk your dog, watch a movie, do whatever you have to do. I will always be sitting here calling this stuff out as long as I have a platform. And I appreciate y'all for coming along with me. And again, I'll always say it, right side of history. But more than that, we have to realize going forward that we're going to have to continue to have the uncomfortable conversations, whether they like it or not.